A very good evening. Welcome to Premier League Live as we continue what has been an already very intriguing start to the weekend in the Premier League. A Spurs side in the bottom three starting tonight's match, hoping if with a win they will leapfrog West Ham and escape, at least for now, the relegation zone. But they face a Brighton side who've won 5 of their last 6 games and are the informed team in the Premier League, and with a bit of a fight on their hands, Brighton chasing European football, and as they face their former manager Roberto De Zerbi, who takes charge of his first home game as Spurs boss after that 1-0 defeat to Sunderland last week. They will want to bounce back, and they need their team this afternoon. And they need 3 points, crucially, to Spurs. Also on this game, remember tonight, if Spurs win, Wolves will be relegated this evening. Leeds 3-0 winners at Elland Road earlier this afternoon in that one. Meaning that it is a day that Wolves could, would and will be relegated if Spurs win. Bournemouth also big winners away at Newcastle, massively boosting their hopes of European football. We'll talk about those two scores as well as the lunchtime game a little later, but let's have a look at the two teams, starting with Spurs. And Antonin Kinski starts again after his performance against Sunderland. He stays in the side with no Vicario, still out with an issue. A back four of Pedro Porro, Kevin Danzo, Mickey van der Ven and Destiny Udogie. The only change to that defence is no Christian Romero due to his issue. Bissouma, Bentancur and Gallagher in midfield, with a front three of Xavi Simons, Randall Colomwani and Dominic Solanke. On the bench for Spurs, Austin, Dragoshin, Spence, Palhinha, Gray, Bergvall, Tell, Richarlison, and a welcome return for James Maddison, who returns to the Spurs bench. Barford Bruggen starts in goal for Brighton, a back four of Wiefer, Van Hecke, Buscagli and Kadiolu. A midfield of Yasin Ayari and Pascal Gross. Jack Hinshelwood in the 10, the wingers of Gomez and Minta, and leading the line and captaining this Brighton side is Danny Welbeck. On the bench for Brighton, Steele, Igor, Julio, De Kuyper, Veltman, Baleba, Ruter, Mitoma, O'Reilly and Kostulas. Well, two sides with a lot to fight for at either end of the table. Brighton, if they win this afternoon, they will jump to 6th in the table. For Spurs, a win for them would get them out of the bottom three and up to 16th in the table, and that could be all crucial for Spurs in trying to stay in the Premier League. Can you believe it? We're at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's Spurs against Brighton. Kickoff is next. A very good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us for this one this Saturday evening as we kick off a fantastic doubleheader of action to come between now and the end of the night. Roberto De Zerbi, Spurs, taking on his former team, Fabian Hürzeler's Brighton, here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs in desperate need of points after Leeds' comfortable win over Wolves earlier means as well Wolves will want Brighton to win or at least get a draw to ensure that they won't be relegated today. A Spurs win would relegate Wolves to the Championship. Spurs in their white shirts, navy shorts, white socks, and Brighton in their all yellow away kits as we get underway here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in what is a huge game on this Saturday night and what could be a pretty crazy end of the season for Spurs. And what could be, Spurs really need those points. They really need everything to go in their favour between now and the end of the season. And this, many calling a must-win game. Remember, their home form is far from acceptable Spurs this season. The second worst home form of any side, actually. The lowest points picked up at home this season. 2 wins and 4 draws, 10 defeats on home turf, and 16 home games this season. Only Burnley are anywhere near that mix. As it stands, with a draw here today, Spurs, they would go level on points with Burnley in terms of home form. But when it comes to the relegation battle, only a win for Spurs tonight would see them out of the drop zone. A draw would get them closer to West Ham, but not enough to leapfrog the Hammers. Hammers who don't play till Monday night when they take on Crystal Palace. As Brighton try their cute little play there as Diego Gomez giving away the foul. Early bit of pressure there, and Spurs win the free kick. Some technical difficulties there. Should be okay now. Spurs play it backwards. Kinski to Danzo, and down the right hand side to Destiny Adogi, who flicks it over the top and runners in behind, but Verbruggen comfortable in his own area and gathers well. Of course, as we talked about, Brighton, one of the in-form sides in the Premier League. As I said, have won 5 of their last 6 league games. Only loss was to Arsenal 1-0 at the Amex. They've beaten Brentford, Forest, Sunderland, Liverpool and Burnley in that run. And now I want to add Spurs to their list. And if they do win here tonight, Brighton, as I said, they would jump above Everton, Bournemouth, Brentford and Chelsea, and move into 6th in the table, and would be on 49 points, which would mean Chelsea would need to win, at least draw against United later to go back ahead of them. And Chelsea, you have to say, with that defeat to Manchester City at such a comfortable circumstance last week at Stamford Bridge, in the end, City winning by 3-0, they've really put themselves back into this clutch of teams, and Brentford missed the opportunity today to go above them. Bournemouth, with their win away at Newcastle, went level on points with Chelsea, and Brighton in the mix there as well as Everton. Even Sunderland, who are 11th, are only 2 points behind Chelsea. It's all coming to the fore at this point of the season. And that's what you like to see in the Premier League. If we can show you the table, this is the live table as it stands, with this game 0-0 at the moment, 1-0. This is the way it stands. Brighton would move up to 9th. They start the afternoon in 10th after results earlier. And here's a chance for Xavi Simons. Stolen away from him by Verbruggen, who launched it up the field. Van Hecke was down in the middle. I think he wanted a foul, but the referee said no. See it here again. Yeah, it was a foul. That should be a foul in my opinion. Dominic Solanke gets away with it, but to me that's cynical, that from Dominic Solanke. Nonetheless, that's nice play. Basuma down the left channel, Udogie on the left, swung it in low and cleared behind. It's actually stayed in play. It's cleared away from danger anyway from Brighton. I think it was Buscagli with the clearance. Decent start here from Spurs, showing some early threats. Gallagher, Bentancur, back to Van de Ven, and now to Bissouma. And Tottenham are winless in the last 3 Premier League games against Brighton, drawn 1 and lost 2, having previously never gone more than once without a win against the Seagulls in the top flight. So their worst record against Brighton. They drew 2-2 in the reverse fixture at the Amex earlier in the season. Brighton were 2-0 up after just 31 minutes. Yakuba Minta and Yasin Ayari with the 2 scorers early. Richarlison and an own goal from Jean-Paul Van Hecke late. Rescued a draw for Spurs in that one. The last time they met here, Brighton won 4-1 against Spurs on that day. Spurs actually went in front in this exact fixture last season through Dominic Solanke's penalty, but 2 goals from Jack Hinchelwood, Matt O'Reilly, and then Diego Gomez as well, all finding the net. Made it 4-1 to Brighton on their last trip to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Similar result would really put Spurs in a terrible position. Their last win against Brighton did come here back in February of 2024. That late winner from Brennan Johnson. Actually 1-0 down in that game, Spurs. Pascal Gross and then Papsar equalised before Brennan Johnson scored the late winner. Roberto De Zerbi getting some information from his technical staff behind him there. Long kick by Kinski. And it won by Diego Gomez. There's a kick there. This goes against Matt Zwiefer. That's going to be a Spurs free kick. We started strong, Spurs. 60% possession in the first 7 minutes. Here is Borrow. Down the line with Randall Colomawani. Finds Conor Gallagher. Who goes back the way to Danzo. Now back to Kinski. Who hoofs one up the field. Randall Colomawani battling, as was Solanke. Taken down by Gallagher. Solanke plays it back to Pedro Porro. Decent play this from Spurs as Porro goes for the switch. Headed back across to Doggy, who was wrestled down, as was Xavi Simons, and the referee is going to pull it back for a Spurs free kick. It's a lot of free kicks. Brighton have been very sloppy so far, and they've given away quite a lot of set pieces. The referee just having a chat with that 1 or 2 here just to make sure all is okay. Referee Stuart Atwell, VAR Jared Gillett this afternoon. The referee giving Spurs the free kick and explaining to Mads Zwiefer why it is a foul, and maybe just having a word with Mads Zwiefer. A couple of free kicks he's given away. See it here. Yeah, he's late on Xavi Simons, and then Diego Gomez is cynical on a Doggy, but it's, I think, for the initial one on Simons that he's given the free kick for here, the referee. Yeah. Sorry, I have an itchy nose, I do apologise. Free kick here for Spurs, 9 minutes gone. Porro looking for the run of a Doggy, who did get the better of his man and went down wanting a penalty. Referee says no. Spurs keep it alive. Gallagher, Simons, Porro swings one in, headed away at the back post, and then the miscue there from Bentancur trying to strike from range. There's Colomawani plucking into the air. He's made contact with a man, and that's going to be a Brighton free kick. Well, will VAR have a look at this? Jared Gillett on VAR duty, assisted by Adam Nunn. Was Destiny a doggy foul here by Yankuba Minta? See it again. No, they just kind of tangle legs, really. It's not a foul. I don't think it's... Yeah, for me it's very soft. It would be soft to give that. Can understand the Spurs' point of view wanting a penalty, but see the replay, it's definitely not. Roberto De Zerbi giving some tactical information to his players. A big job for Roberto De Zerbi to take up here. 7 games to save Spurs this season. Lost out away at Sunderland last week. 1-0 win for Sunderland. And heavily deflected goal from Nordi Mukiele was the winner. That's going to be a free kick. Yves Bissouma a bit too aggressive. It's going to be a Brighton free kick in their own half. Not much momentum in the game. Very stop-start first 11 minutes. Busquets back to Verbruggen. Clearance there from Kadiolu up the field. Brighton a little bit lacking rhythm at the minute with their play. Verbruggen. He's it out to Van Hecke. Back to Bart Verbruggen. Skegli down the left, it comes as he tried to link it up there with Yankuba Minte, but ultimately Spurs break it apart as Danzo, he gives it away though. Nice he picked up in the midfield as Ayari tried to poke it through, and Welbeck there giving it away a bit cheaply. Spurs do the same. Now Diego Gomez, he tries to force it through the lines to Yankuba Minte. Still got the chase on Gallagher. Gallagher who gets rid under no real threat there. Ayari. Back to Jean-Paul Van Hecke. Yes, and Ayari. Hecke just retreats the ball back to Bart Verbruggen. Nice combinations here for Brighton in the middle. Ball comes down the left and sitting away from Yankuba Minte well. Pedro Porro with a fabulous tackle. And he wins Spurs the throw. That's the type of commitment these fans want to see from their players. And there's Christian Romero, who would desperately love to be out there, but of course got injured in that Sunderland game, and really the end of his season and maybe, possibly, his World Cup hopes as well for Christian Romero. Devastating loss for them, for Spurs. With their captain. Udogie tries to cross, takes a deflection, loops over the head of the man at the back post and Kadiolu, but Colomowani will let it run for the corner. You might have had a little glimpse at it there, Rando Colomowani, but in the end lets it run for a Tottenham corner. "14 goals from corners. Only Arsenal have scored more from this situation than Spurs this season. They need a goal. Can they find it from their most frivolous position? Corner on the right hand side. Simons delivers, headed on by Bentancur. And I think there's a foul in there. Rando Colomowani giving away a free kick. Something the referee spotted anyway. Free kick to Brighton. See it again here. Colomowani just pulling Mads Fifer out of the way. It's definitely a foul. A decent first 15 minutes from Spurs. It's alright for 15 minutes. It's got to go for the full 90. How they fare after this point that will decide it. Kind of, this is the pendulum swinging game, you must suspect. The home game, albeit against a really good Brighton side, but if you get a win here, it will do wonders for your confidence And with a tough run to come for Spurs in the league, it's not going to get any easier between now and the end of the season, albeit Wolves away next week. But after that, they've got Aston Villa, Leeds, Chelsea and Everton to come. And trips to Aston Villa and Chelsea are not going to be easy places to go. And with a lot of those teams, actually, with a lot still to play for, I think only Wolves and Leeds might not have anything to play for between now and the end of the season. Leeds probably just playing for points, but Wolves will be possibly relegated if Spurs win this evening. So it is a point where you kind of go and think Spurs got to make the most of those two games and maybe nick another result in there too. I think if they get to 38, 39 points, they could save themselves. Of course, Leeds reached 39 points with their 3-0 win over Wolves today. But I kind of just feel that 39 points would be a good standard. That means Forest will have to get 6 points and West Ham leads 7 out of their final 6 games, which is very doable, but Spurs need that 9-10 points, I think, just to stay in the Premier League. West Ham have picked up form. Forest have looked dangerous in Europe as well, albeit Europe might be taking the look of Forest between now and the end of the season. They've had a good run of form as well, so Spurs need to be very careful if they don't find themselves cut adrift. Of course, Nottingham Forest and West Ham both play after Spurs, so whatever happens here tonight could really impact which way those two teams' games go tomorrow and on Monday. Diego Gomez there brought down. And just a clash of heads with Destiny Udogie. He has stayed down here, Diego Gomez, so he's not particularly in a good way, it looks like there. And of course Fabian Hürzeler serving as touchline ban, so he's up in the stands. Whether they might trigger a substitution. We'll wait and see. It looks like it. It is, if they are to make the change, it looks like it might be Kaoru Mitoma who's warming up. At the moment he is warming up, Kaoru Mitoma, but no indication of substitution just yet. You kind of always think, though, when a manager has a touchline ban, is it a helpful thing or a negative thing? Because they've got constant contact with the bench. They're just sitting in a different position. And with that more aerial viewpoint, does that benefit them? Sometimes you kind of think it does at times, as beneficiary. Well, this is not good for Diego Gomez. I have to say, he's still down and is covering his face, so he is quite emotional about the situation. Maybe not in a good way, and Kaoru Mitoma is getting ready now, so I think the Japanese international is going to be coming on here for Brighton. As Diego Gomez is being helped back to his feet by the two physios and his captain Danny Welbeck. Slowly but surely. It's not what you like to see at all. He's helped back to his feet there, Diego Gomez. You never like to see a player injured, of course, and not in a good way. As the Brighton man. Whatever it is, it's something to do with that left leg. Whatever it is, he's had to make way, and Kaoru Mitoma is on for Diego Gomez, so I suspect Gomez, who started on the right-hand side, will switch. Kaoru Mitoma will switch to the left, and Minta will go to the right of that attacking line. Spurs corner, though, first, before all that. Pedro Porro swung in with the right foot, deep to the back post. And headed away. Simons picks it back up, tries to shoot, and the angle just wide by Xavi Simons. I think there was a touch in the way through. Takes it for a corner. See it again. It's the header clear by Buscaglia, I think it is. And the shot from Xavi Simons takes a deflection off Caoimhan. Carries it through. And then just spinning back towards goal, it just takes it wide. But that's a Spurs corner. Take number 2 then. Porro's delivery again. This one very deep. Headed back across goal. Half cleared by Welbeck. Still around the mix is the shot. Skied over the bar by Randall Colomawani. Again, better threat though from Spurs, who started this well. Not allowed Brighton to control it. Talk about Brighton's away form, we know very well about Spurs' home form, but in terms of away from home, they've been a bit in and out this season, Brighton. 5 wins, 4 draws and 7 defeats on the road. Has them right bang mid-table when it comes to their away form. This season, picked up 19 points from their 16 away games this season. And is ranked 12th in the Premier League for away points picked up. And as I told you about their recent form, it quite subverts that. They've won each of their last 3 away from home, so their form away from home was much worse than what it currently is. Winning 3 back-to-back away at Brentford, Sunderland and Burnley. In 2 of those places, Brighton done very well in winning away at Brentford and Sunderland. 2 tough places to go this season for opposing teams. And they kept clean sheets in each of the last 3 away games as well, Brighton. So a very good run of form away from home recently. And they've got themselves a corner here, which Yankuba Minta will take. Left-footed delivery. Up and over and out the other end for a goal kick. A reminder for you as well that we've got another game coming up a little later. Chelsea against Manchester United. Rounds off the Saturday action in the Premier League here on LFS. Man United start the night in 3rd with a chance to open the gap to Aston Villa. And Chelsea with the opportunity to close the gap to Liverpool in the top 5 if they can win at the Bridge. That game always excites, and it's coming up at 8 o'clock tonight. Bissouma. Back to Van de Ven. Now to Kevin Danzo. Into Bentancur. 1-2. Back to Van de Ven. Now wide to Udogie. Hinchelwood for company, but finds Xavi Simons, and now Bentancur. Really fluid play, I have to say, at times from Spurs. Their movement between the lines has been strong. They've looked a lot sharper, a lot quicker than they were last week. But Brighton, a very different opponent to Sunderland. Interesting to see how Brighton fare. That's a lovely ball in behind. Solanke is offside. That's going to curtail that quite quickly. Yeah, he was away there, Dominic Solanke, just offside though. That brought that to a close. Right, pick it up nicely here. Well back. Trying to cut it back across, ultimately not in the end. Successful in doing so, and the clearance from Kinski. Bit of a bounce there that might have caught them out there, Brighton, but Xavi Simons was trying to threaten and he was just seen off well by Buscaglia there. Here is Caoimhan. Breaking past Porro. We did enough to see it back, and that will be a Brighton corner. I don't know what it is. I get a really itchy nose. I don't understand it. Maybe it's a superstition type thing. Who knows? 25 minutes gone. And we remain goalless here at the TH. And it is Spurs have looked the more threatening of the 2 teams. So far, Brighton still without their first shot in the game. Corner it will be here, the second of the game. for Brighton. Right for the delivery, deep to the back post, and that was a strange one for Kinski to deal with. He did deal with it, and it will go out for a Brighton throw on the far side. See it here. Kinski did really well. Strong right hand to force it away from his goal. Guillermo Vicario on the bench there. Well, not on the bench literally, but here. Of course, out injured at the moment, the first choice Spurs goalkeeper. Mads Wiefer to take this throw for Brighton. Held up well by Hinchelwood, whipped in by Wiefer. Someone clattered in there. I think it was Danny Welbeck that was taken out. Fair challenge. And Spurs just about are dealt with there by Brighton, because very open. That's a lovely ball in behind. Kinski measured it well. And he has to get back onto his line quickly as Minta's ball doesn't find Danny Welbeck. They battle to win it back together. Yankuba Minta. There's a doggy tracing, as does Basuma now. And no room there for Minta. Is he still running through a load of bodies? And talk about body on the line defending there from Spurs. And they win a free kick to evade that pressure, but I have to say, the intense defending from Spurs there got them out of trouble. The intensity from Yankuba Minta, I have to say, the endeavour to not give up on this chance. Had the ball beaten away from him once with his cross, then he wins it back out of Basuma, gets past Bentancur, then tried to get past Van de Ven, who did really well at centre-back there, and Gallagher was brought down, which got Spurs a free kick, and now they've taken it quickly, and now they're away here, Spurs. Into the box, Gallagher wins the corner. Again, I have to say the fight of Spurs has been so much better. Their physicality has been much stronger in this game so far. Conor Gallagher making that run in behind, he cut it back, he did really well. Tried to work himself back into a shooting position, and as he struck it, deflected off a Brighton defender and behind for another Spurs corner. Their fourth of the game to this point. Spurs corner, taken short. Pedro Porro whips in the second phase, kept alive by Van de Ven, who makes a crunching challenge to try and keep the ball alive for Spurs and ends up giving away the free kick. You see it again there. Cadiolu trying to fend off Van de Ven, and then the ball drops to Wiefer, who is taken out by the Spurs skipper. Yari getting a little bit loose there with his play. Xavi Simons stretching to challenge. He's given away a free kick. It's got very scrappy this game in the last few minutes. It was a foul there by Xavi Simons. No shots on target yet. Spurs with all the shots though, 4 to Brighton 0. Edging the possession and more touches in the opposing box, 9 to 1 in Spurs' favour. Van Hecke making a nice run in the space. He's at wide. Now finds Yankuba Minta. Back to Jean-Paul Van Hecke was the target just ahead of him. Porro there to intercept. Not very far did it get as Yankuba Minta wins it back. Played now to Hinchelwood. And Gross. Skagli to Wiefer. Down the line it goes to Yankuba Minta. Back inside to Mads Wiefer. Bodies in the area. Wiefer decides to return it back to Jean-Paul Van Hecke. Nice interchange of play here from Brighton. And Kuba Minta with a little bit of skill with his cross there. Cleared away by Danzo. Spurs struggling to get out of their own half here for all of a sudden. Brighton apply a little bit of extra pressure on the home side. Van Hecke. Cross to Gross. Mitoma. They've just kind of settled a little bit, Brighton. Spurs, who have been the more attacking outfit so far. Very little to show for it in the final third for both teams, but Spurs have edged it, you gotta say. Muscagli finds Van Hecke. Down the line to Minter. Rolls it on for the underlapping Mads Wiefer, who tried the cross. That one deflected behind by Bissouma for a corner. Yeah, really nicely done. Again from Brighton, those little link-ups and that underlapping run from Mads Wiefer is always on. It was a nice 1-2 combination between fullback and midfielder, winger. And Spurs have another corner to defend. It's Minter to deliver. Trying to go for the cute one. Front post clearance though for Spurs. Cycled back wide to the initial corner taker. Yankuba Minter evading the challenge of Simons. Whips it deep. The header across. And it's off the post and out the other end. Talk about luck. How did that not go in? I think the flag was up anyway. But how is that not ended up in a Brighton goal? See it here again. Yankuba Minter evades the challenge of Simons, sweeps in a beautiful ball. Well onside from the header at the back post, across goal, and Danny Welbeck was there at the front post again, trying to pop it in. And we see it again here. That comes across. The header goes off the post from the defender, comes off the back side of the defender and Van de Ven, and goes right across the face of goal again. Kinski was beaten. Van de Ven almost put it into his own net. But how did that not end up into the back of the nets? Spurs will count their lucky stars that it's not 1-0 to Brighton. Deflections have gone against them before, as most recently as 6 days ago, but not today so far. Brighton coming close. That's nice take there by Ayari, who was brought down a little bit cynically there by Yves Bissouma. And that's going to be a yellow card for the Spurs midfielder. I think that's the correct decision. Yeah, Yari just dragged back there by Bissouma. It's definitely a yellow. Chance here for Brighton from the set piece. It is Pascal Gross. He's got a hit on him, and he's got a delivery on him too as well. What can he do from this sort of range? Gross clips in, and it's come into the path of Kinski, who just about makes the stop. They're riding their luck a little bit the last few minutes, Spurs. They've got away with it so far. Bissouma. Bentancur. Long kick up the field by Kinski. Goes all the way through to his opposite in the Brighton goal in Bart Verbruggen. Just short of 10 minutes to go with the first half. Spurs 0, Brighton 0. Brighton have come the closest. That's a lovely ball. Finds Mads Wiefer, who is bundled over in the area. Not enough for a penalty. Fair challenge, said the referee, as that's going to be a foul. As couldn't quite see who the Spurs player was, but whoever it was has been fouled, and that's a free kick to Tottenham. Mickey van der Ven in the ear of the referee. We'll see it here. Mads Wiefer runs through. He does shoulder charge Mads Wiefer, but it's strong defending, nothing else. As we see this free kick chance again. Headed on. Yeah, it's nice play. It's Danny Welbeck. Difficult header, but Kinski did well. Some warnings, though, for Tottenham in the last few minutes. Kadiolu lays it back to Van Hecke. Fired into the path of Wiefer, who on reverse, trying to play in Yankuba Minta. Was beaten to it by Van de Ven. And now Simons shoved over, and that's going to be another free kick, and this is going to be a yellow card given to Mads Wiefer. That's a couple of challenges he's made, and quite a few on Xavi Simons, so it gets him a booking. His 8th yellow card of the season. It's going to be a fight, Mitoba. Excuse me. Well, Brighton have won 2 of their last 4 away league games against Spurs. You've lost the other 2, including a 4-1 victory in this exact fixture last season. They'd only won 1 of their first 9 visits away at Spurs between 1977 and 2020, of which they'd lost 6 of those games. So certainly a very good run of form on the road against Spurs, Brighton, recently. Much more threatening. Van Hecke back to Verbruggen on the edge of his 18-yard box. Back to Van Hecke. Looks to find a midfielder. On that occasion, beaten to it though, was said midfielder Jack Hinchelwood. As Simons tried to get in behind, he wanted a foul. This time Wiefer was fouled by Simons, not the other way around. Free kick to Brighton. Well, that's a battle that's going to continue. Remember, both players have had their fair share of challenges so far. That's Wiefer on a yellow, remember, as well. A battle that will continue right the way throughout the game. Van Hecke getting a little bit too cute with his play there. Bentancur, Simons lays it out wide for Solanke, who's come to the left. Drifting into the box, Dominic Solanke lays it back to Simons, flicks it round the corner, and the header is into the back of the net. Verbruggen misjudged it, and Pedro Porro pounces. Tottenham take the lead. And how crucial could that goal be for Spurs in their fight for safety? Pedro Porro popping up with a pouncing header to give Spurs the opener. The Seagulls have given it away, and Spurs have taken it. And that is a huge moment. See it again here. It's nicely done by Solanke, really patient on that left-hand side of the area. Cuts it back here to Simons, waits for an option, spins on the reverse, with a lovely ball in. Verbruggen decided to come for it. Thought he could get there. Misjudged it completely. And Porro pops up ahead of the Brighton keeper. And pounces. Great leap from Porro. Huge goal for Tottenham Hotspur. And they lead by a goal to 0. And Roberto De Zerbi goes nuts, as well as that Spurs bench and the thousands inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. All that anger, all that frustration that's been building throughout the season. How important could that be for Spurs trying to stay in the Premier League? And let's just show you what that means table-wise. Here we go. This is the live table. Spurs are out of the bottom 3 as it stands. They would jump above West Ham and Nottingham Forest if they were to win. Remember, they go above Forest on goal difference. They're away again here, Spurs. Could be in for another. Simons hits the post. And the follow-up is wide. Should be 2-0. Should be 2-0. High is it not? High is it not 2-0? Again, ball down the line. Lovely little turn in the tight space. Simons is he offside? Sorry, Gallagher. He didn't get involved, actually. In the end, it's whipped back in by Solanke. Simons takes a lovely touch. And as he has the shot onto his right foot, tries to tuck it in the corner. Whether Verbruggen gets something to this, but it's onto the post. And then, ultimately, the shot from Porro is wide. Oh, what a huge chance. Back-to-back opportunities for Spurs to try and double their lead. Sprung into life. Porro whips in with the right foot. Verbruggen gets a hand to that as he clears. And Mitoma trying to run up the field. That should have been a foul in my opinion. He just run right into Xavi Simons there, Karu Mitoma. Simons feeling very hard done by. Beautiful ball by Solanke again. Xavi Simons should have made it 2-0. And Porro should have done the same. On the verge of a 2-goal lead, Spurs. And Servi was ready to run and celebrate again. Incredible. Wow. How close Spurs were. Flick ball over the top. Brighton want to add a bit of threat to their own play. They really struggled in this first half, Brighton. I think Fabian Hürzeler will have a lot to say to his players at half-time. It's not been the first half that the in-form side were really expecting, and it's not the first half of a side that have won 5 of their last 6 Premier League games. Certainly not. It seems to be North London team, seems to be their kryptonite. That's a lovely touch by Udogie. Beaten to it by Van Hecke on the second one, but fabulous again. Spurs, I have to say, from this team that played last Sunday away at Sunderland to the team we're watching right now, it is like they're imposters out there. They do not look like the Spurs we have seen all season. Slow, patient, lacking in energy, really sloppy in possession, giving away cheap balls. They have been aggressive on the front foot, really positive, really determined, destined to get to the ball. It's a completely different side we're watching. And a Brighton team who at the moment just haven't been able to cope with Spurs. And they've got a little bit lucky, but they're not further behind Brighton. Very easily could be further behind. Well, look at that. Probably for the first time in a long time, they're singing around the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's become a sight that it's been rare to see in the last few months. They haven't won this calendar year. 2026 has been winless for Spurs. It is the 18th of April. We're almost 4 months into the year, and Spurs are looking for their first league win of the year. And that early goal from Pedro Porro in this first half, not really an early goal, but a goal nonetheless. So they don't care when it comes. All that Spurs will care about is that it has come for them. And at the moment, as it stands, they would be out of that drop zone, and West Ham would be back in it. 5 added minutes at the end of the first half. There's that long stoppage to Diego Gomez, who went off for Brighton, has certainly contributed to that additional time. Van de Ven getting a little bit outworked in possession here, but he's done really well, the Spurs skipper, charging forward there from centre back, and ultimately the poor ball lets that attack down. Van Hecke going for the switch. Matoma trying to win the ball, and Matoma doing keepy-ups as the ball goes out of play. Well, how different could this game have been if this chance for Brighton had a win in? We talk about swings and roundabouts. We talk about fine margins in these tight games and huge games. How close was it for Brighton at one end? The Spurs scoring at the other not long after. How different this game could have been. Spurs won't care about that. The doggy lays it down the left channel. Bentancur trying to evade challenges but runs into one. Minter gets a little bit loose. Again, they've been very, very sloppy in possession in this first half. Brighton really, really sloppy, I have to say. Yari does well to feed it wide here to Pascal Gross. Tries to bypass the midfield. Found well back in the middle. Cleared away by Spurs. Nicely picked up again, though, by Brighton. Yari wide to Gross again. Rinse and repeat. Bit deeper this time from Gross. Swung across. And what a finish! Caoimhan with a strike right out of the top drawer. Absolute screamer to level things. That was a lights out type finish. Kinski had no chance, and Spurs' lead is eradicated. In added time in the first half, the resolution of this Spurs team and their ability to rebound and bounce back is going to be tested. Really good initially to keep it alive here. Said rinse and repeat, but this cross from Pascal Gross is fabulous. And look at that for a finish. Absolutely unbelievable. Clean connection on the volley from Caoimhan. Absolutely. He placed it. The power was on it. The pace was on it. All he needed to do was direct it. And that's the best bit of direction in a long, long time from him. A lovely goal. It's direction that Steven Spielberg would be very proud of. Spurs 1, Brighton 1 in additional time in the first half. And how things have changed at the TH. Now Brighton on the front foot, wanting to turn this all around. Mitoma cuts back onto his right foot, cuts it back into the area. Still alive. Pfeiffer, he miscued it. And now away it comes for Spurs on the break as Van Hecke absolutely rifles that into the stands in clearing his lines. Well, that's all about bouncing back now for Spurs. They've got no choice. As I said, this is a must-win. Remember what I said earlier. Spurs scored first in the reverse fixture between the exact fixture between these two last season. Brighton went on to win 4-1 after they levelled. That leveller was in the second half, but they went on to score 3 more goals, Brighton unanswered. They didn't have much fight back that day, Spurs, this time last season. It was on the final day of the season last season, and Spurs of course finished 17th last season, a good 13 points clear of Leicester, who were relegated. 25 points Leicester finished on, Spurs on 38. At the moment they're on 30. In their 33rd game of the season. At this rate they'd be struggling to reach their tally of last season. And it seems like that will be to their detriment in terms of their safety this season. Flick on header is wide from Jack Hinchelwood. He scored here twice last season, and his last action of the half was a header wide off target. But a first half that was going swimmingly well for Spurs, but they Really, Brighton popped the balloon that was absolutely incredible atmosphere here in North London. Kaoru Mitoma's rocket sent Spurs back down to earth and back into the relegation zone. And as it stands, Spurs would be still in the bottom three. Half time at Spurs 1, Brighton 1. Sure, one last kick. This is going to be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this. And Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions. And there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal. Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me. That is absolutely unbelievable. Rice again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and bettered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible.
Remember, you don't get it twice. The time of your life.
Welcome back to Premier League Live. Half-time, it is Spurs 1, Brighton 1 at half-time in the game. Let's have a look, though, at the other scores from today's action. It was 0-0 in the West London derby between Brentford and Fulham. At lunchtime, we had the pleasure of watching that game, I have to say. 0-0 it finished there. Leeds 3-0 winners against Wolves in the 3 o'clockers. James Justin with the opener, Noah Okafor with the second goal, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin from the penalty spot adding a bit of spice to the scoreline for Leeds, helping their goal difference. But what a big 3 points it is for Leeds United in trying to stay in the Premier League. They go 9 clear of Spurs in the bottom 3 at the end of that game. And another home defeat for Newcastle, and it's now 13 unbeaten for Bournemouth in the Premier League. An incredible run that Antonio Iraola's side are on, and let's put them up to 8th in the table, level on points with Chelsea and Brentford behind, both on goal difference. But an incredible result for Bournemouth. And Newcastle United stay in 14th and are now further away from chasing Europe than they were at the start of the afternoon. Certainly, but still not completely out of the conversation. But that was a game they probably should have got at least something out of if they wanted to secure a chance at Europe. Marcus Tavernier opened the scoring. Will Asula then levelled before Adrian Truffert scored the late winner for Bournemouth. An incredible run that the Cherries have been on. The last time they lost in the Premier League was against Arsenal on the 3rd of January. It's an incredible run of form that they are on at Bournemouth, and an incredible result for them as well away at Newcastle. And half-time here, it is Spurs 1, Brighton 1, and what a first half it has been here as well. I think a first half that both sides can be pretty pleased with, really, at halftime. I think overall Brighton will be disappointed with their performance of the first half, but Kaoimhan Ferris with that incredible goal to level things just before halftime. And what an incredible goal it was, because it came at such an important moment for Brighton, because, you know, in that first half, they were poor, they were below par, and they were actually facing a Spurs side who were a lot better than what we've seen of Tottenham over the last few weeks, and certainly over the last month or two, when there's really emerged that they could be threatened by relegation. And I think it's a very different looking Spurs side today. I think very aggressive, very high press, strong on the front foot. They've been really physical as well. They've done everything that they need to do in scrapping for points. And in that first half, they were excellent, Spurs. For Brighton, as I said, they were below par. They weren't at their usual levels. Brighton, that certainly we've seen from them, especially of a team that's won 5 of the last 6 games. It doesn't really look like that from Brighton, but an incredible goal from the substitute Caoimhan Ferris, of course, who come on for the injured Diego Gomez. So a wonderful goal from him to level things up after, of course, Pedro Porro opened the scoring for Tottenham. But a first half, really, that hasn't gone all the way of Spurs' favour, but it's certainly gone in a pretty good direction for Roberto De Zerbi's side, and they're still very much in with a chance of winning this game, which, as I said at the start of the afternoon, would relegate Wolves, but most importantly, it would give Spurs all important 3 points that would put them outside the bottom 3. This is the way it stands at the moment. Spurs are in the bottom 3, a point behind West Ham, 2 points off Nottingham Forest if they were to draw this game. If they were to win, of course, they would go above both West Ham and Forest. They would go above Forest on goal difference and will be a point ahead of West Ham before both sides play in the next couple. Forest play tomorrow, and West Ham play on Monday. Of course, Forest have got Burnley tomorrow, and West Ham head to Crystal Palace. A reminder for you that we have another huge game to come at the other end of the table, at the top half, between Chelsea and Manchester United. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff from Stamford Bridge. Chelsea looking to close the gap to Liverpool back to 1 point before the Reds play in the Merseyside derby tomorrow. And a Man United side looking to go 3 points ahead of Aston Villa before Villa play tomorrow as well. As if they can win, they would go on to 58 points, which would be 3 clear of Villa. But a defeat for United tonight would really concertina 3rd to 6th all the way back to just 4 points between them and another twist in the tail of the top 5. We will see, though, what comes in that one a little later. But a big second half in North London. It's Spurs 1, Brighton 1, and the second half's on the way next. And the run-in is only getting started.
Remember, you don't get it twice. The time of your life.
Welcome back to Premier League Live. Half-time, it's Spurs 1, Brighton 1 here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Roberto De Zerbi, of course, in his first home game in charge of Spurs against his former team in Brighton. And at the moment, it is Brighton holding Spurs back from a win here so far. Their first league win of 2026 it would be if they can pull it off here this evening, Spurs. Of course. And as we get the second half underway. A big next 45 minutes for Spurs this season, really. It's one of those games where if they can't win it, you must not lose it. Just to keep yourselves within touching distance of Forest and West Ham, who you would feel would have pretty favourable games this weekend, Forest and West Ham. Forest at home to Burnley, and West Ham away to Crystal Palace. Palace very little to play for in their season, and of course Burnley near relegated. Spurs certainly there to the 3, the toughest fixture of the weekend, but at the moment they have made Brighton work for it, and they were pretty under par in the first half, Brighton, I have to say. They weren't to their usual level, but Spurs were a lot better than what we've seen of them recently, and I think that can only go in their benefit. But an early free kick here for the visitors. In the second half, Pascal Gross, whose delivery found Caoimhan in the first half of this Brighton leveller. What can he find here? Right-footed delivery. Headed on by Van Hecke. And wide. Yeah, decent ball in. I think Van Hecke just doesn't get over the ball. He's just kind of in line with the cross, and he just kind of comes off the top of his head there, that ball. Behind for a goal kick. But it's crucial for Spurs to reassert that control that they had in the first half. They were really threatening Brighton. That's a lovely ball through. Caoimhan couldn't keep the ball with him in his stride. As Brighton give it away a little cheaply again. Solanke finds Simons. Simons stops in his tracks, goes for the deep delivery, and that one's well over the head of Randall Caoimhan in the area. And they've got the quality, Spurs, to turn this around. They've had the quality all season, albeit a few injuries that have really gone against them this campaign massively. Maybe some players coming back. Of course, James Maddison back on the bench for the first time today in a long time as Brighton get the ball back into the middle. And Danzo with a last-ditch challenge to deny Brighton a clean shot at goal there with Danny Welbeck. And they got a little bit caught out. Destiny Adogi, I think, was caught out here defensively. Gets beaten to it by Yankuba Minta, who whips in the cross low and hard right away. Flicks it into the area and toward Danny Welbeck, who's just about stolen to. Pipped at the post by Kevin Danzo. Throw in here for Spurs. For Brighton, sorry, apologies. Taking it short. Hinshelwood holds it up. Way in there for Brighton as the door is closed, but Yankuba Minta works into an angle of space. And he's back to Wiefer, who clips it back out to the far side. Takes it down, does Gross. Gets away from Udogi as the ball drops into the area here. Wiefer cuts it back. A Yari shot blocked. Then another shot blocked. Called a handball from a couple of the Brighton players there, but the referee waves both claims away. Nice ball down the left here to Mitoma. Taking on Porro. Mitoma's cross, and that wasn't the best bit of defending from Rodrigo Bentancur. And it's going to be a Brighton corner. You see it here. Good cut back. Wiefer takes it into the area, cuts it back to Ayari, whose shot was blocked by Gallagher, I think. And the follow-up shot was blocked by Danzo. And Brighton were calling for handball on those two, but you can't really see from that wide angle. Corner it is, though, to Brighton. On this left-hand side. Just short of 5 minutes gone in the second half, and they've started pretty well here in the second period, the visitors. Swung him with the right foot deep to the back post, headed across. Mitoma was trying to make a nuisance of himself, but Spurs just about scramble it clear. A bit of pressure here on Brighton as Simons was lurking. Nicely dealt with by Kadiolu. That's a foul. And Gallagher, the one penalised for taking down Karu Mitoma. He quite emphatically fired in the Brighton leveller in the first half stoppage time. Nice ball down the line by Gross. Mitoma made that feinted run. Back to Gross. These combinations here from Brighton. Just about hung on to by Mitoma, and back to Gross. Really good football. Working away around Spurs, and Mitoma again goes down. And actually, no foul. It's actually going to go against him for touching the ball with his hands. So free kick to Spurs. He wanted to foul there, Karu Mitoma, but it's not a foul. And then he just grabs the ball, which is quite naive. He played to the whistle. Well, if James Maddison was to join us here, of course, the last time that he played for Spurs in a competitive game was in the 3-1 win over Bodo Glimt on the 1st of May last year, almost a year since he last played for Spurs in a competitive match, and he scored in that game, in that semi-final. I think the second leg of that game, was it? The second leg of the semi-final? The first leg of the semi-final for Spurs in that Europa League. That's the last time he played competitively for Tottenham. He played 2 pre-season games, but then got re-injured. Here comes Spurs. Porro closed away. Swung in by Gallagher. That one was a desperate effort by Conor Gallagher. And Roberto De Zerbi, unsurprisingly, given a yellow card. He's just a bit too animated, Roberto De Zerbi. I mean, he's miles out of his technical area. He's running up the touchline. He's that far away. And he's been given a yellow card. I mean, it's not a small technical area here at Spurs. And it's still too small for Roberto De Zerbi. Long throw in coming here for Spurs. Kevin Danzo to take. Launches, flicked on, and falls to Mitoma, who can clear it up the field. On to chase here for Yankuba Minta. And Welbeck's done well there to backheel it. Actually, it was ultimately seen well by Spurs to win it back. Flick ball over the top, and Verbruggen got away with that there. Looked like he had it all under control, and then Solanke came out of nowhere, made it a little bit more testing for the Brighton goalkeeper, who did in the end keep a hold of the ball. And their injury list is quite not as long as it was for Spurs. Of course, Romero's out, Vicario's out. They're recent injuries, but in terms of their long-term injuries, only 2 players that remain on the long-term injury list, and Kulusevski and Kudus, who've been out for a good few weeks and months, possibly. So a bit stronger squad for Spurs, but will that just about bail them out in the right time? A return from injury for a lot of those players. I mean, who thought we would be on match day 33 of the season talking about Spurs trying to escape the relegation zone? It is quite a unique situation that we find ourselves in here. And with 35.5 minutes to go at the moment, they would remain in the relegation zone with a draw. Only a win would see Spurs out of the bottom 3 tonight. Danzo across to Van de Ven. Just a quick another quick look at the table for you, show you what the current situation is. So you can see Brighton right at the top there, on that, right at the very top of that. They're in the top half, just about. Brighton, 9th at the moment. Spurs all the way down, right there, 3rd from bottom at the moment. A long way to go. Looks like they're going to ready some changes in a moment, Spurs. Matisse Tell and Archie Gray look to be the ones coming on. That's a loose giveaway there from Verbruggen from the long ball. Nicely pressed to win it back. That's Buscagli trying to switch it out to Yankuba Minta. Well clogged up there. Nice defending from Destiny Udogie. Bentancur around the corner, finding Kevin Danzo. Space here for Spurs. Danzo chops inside, feeds the wall out to another, finding Porro on the overlap. Porro breaking away. He's got Matoma for company. Porro whips in. Van Hecke clears. Not very far though, as Gallagher throws himself at it. Van Hecke trying to clear it again. It's not got away from Brighton's area yet. Randall Colomboani with a little flick. Gallagher striding through, goes down. And the referee waved it away quite quickly, and Gallagher right back to his feet. Didn't even claim it himself. Yeah, there's nothing in that. Double substitution then. So Archie Gray is going to replace Yves Bissouma in midfield. Matisse Tell is going to be coming on as well for Randall Colomboani. Remember, Yves Bissouma has had his injury problems as well. He was on the bench last week, didn't make an appearance against Sunderland, and then started this game and is only able to play 56 minutes or so. Which got injured at the start of March. Was out for about a month. Yves Bissouma, a decent response and return to action for him. Archie Gray on his place, and Matisse Tell replaces Randall Colomboani further forward. What can those fresh legs do to try and reinvigorate Spurs and try and find them a lead once again? Danzo to Simons, picked up by Bentancur, who swung it out to the right side, and nice ball, just a little bit ahead of Matisse Tell. A nice idea. Verbruggen! Goodness me! The Brighton goalkeeper is one lucky boy. How on earth has he got away with that? Toying about with the ball in his own 6-yard box, and Conor Gallagher incredibly closes him down. Just doesn't do enough in the end, doesn't get the bounce, the deflection, and ultimately goes out for a Brighton goal kick. But they're riding their luck massively here, Brighton. That's a lovely ball by Ayari though. V for apologies actually. And the clearance for Spurs from Van de Ven, out for a Brighton throw. Certainly riding their luck in this second half in moments, Brighton. And Verbruggen hasn't covered himself in glory at all today. He was at mistake. He was at fault, shall I say. He made the mistake. He was at fault for the Spurs goal. Misjudging that Simon's delivery. Porro pounced ahead of the goalkeeper into the empty net. Caoimhan, wide it goes to Mitoma. Takes on his man, Mitoma, and Porro does really well. Make sure the Japanese international doesn't get past him this time. Sees it behind for a goal kick. And those the two scorers at the moment, Mitoma and Pedro Porro. And direct opponents on the pitch there. Spurs right back and the Brighton left winger. Kinski playing out, finds Van de Ven, who tries to go direct. FIFA was stolen away from him, but Ayari got something to that. Both sides battle for the ball. Ayari went down, referee saw no foul. Solanke strides away, runs into Yankuba Minta, who wins it back for Brighton. Van Hecke. Pascagli bypassing Caoimhan and finding Mitoma. And strong bit of defending there from Rodrigo Bentancur against Pascal Gross. That will be a Brighton throw. Actually, Spurs throw, apologies. Well, I have to say the physicality of Spurs is what's really impressed me. I think their passing's been sharper, they've moved much quicker, but I think their physicality is what's impressed me most. And I think, you know, last week they were being bullied by Sunderland. They were being toyed with at times by Sunderland. And I think they showed very little fight in that game. And it's very different for them in this game. A very different looking Spurs team. They've still got a long way to go if they want to rescue this. Well, Spurs haven't scored more than once in a league game. Hold on a second. I'll tell you when they last scored more than once in a league game in a moment, because here come Brighton. Van Hecke, seen away by Bentancur again, who was combating. Brighton trying to win it back quickly. Spurs just eke out of trouble with the finest of margins, and Gray does well. Finding Udogi, who unduly won the ball back, says the referee, and a foul given. It's Yasin Ayari who's down. Felt he was whacked in the face. Yeah, he's a little bit fortunate, Yasin Ayari, to get that one. I didn't think Destiny Udogi did too much wrong there, in my opinion. He shakes his head at the decision. Well, Spurs, last time they scored more than once in a league game was in a 2-2 draw with Manchester City back in February here. They haven't scored more than once in any of their last 8 league games. Scagli, very direct, finds Welbeck. Hinshelwood lays it out wide to Yankuba Minta, who comes back inside, runs into trouble. Somehow Spurs get away with that. And now Simon's trying to charge up the field. Well challenged by Van Hecke. And an awkward bounce. Van de Ven holds on. It's ebbed and flowed. It's back and forth at the minute. And Van Hecke's going to be penalised for a foul here. The referee going to have a chat with the Brighton centre-back. Spurs are calling for a yellow card as well as the foul. The referee opts to just have a chat with Jean-Paul Van Hecke. Yeah, he was late. He didn't get anywhere near the ball. It's the definition of a free kick. And maybe a little bit fortunate to not get a yellow card for that tackle. Very cynical. Spurs give it away cheaply from that free kick. Ayari. Minte. Wide it goes. Swung in from Gross. Danso heads clear. Again, that delivery from wide is dangerous. Worked himself into a really good, strong position and swung a nice ball in. Danso was there to meet it, to clear it away from Spurs, or for Spurs, shall I say. And Brighton will have the throw in down the left here in a moment. As Fabian Hertzler's on the phone. Whoever he's on the phone to, he's having a nice little conversation. I don't know what he's doing, but I think he's talking to the technical staff, but it's a strange image, seeing a manager on the phone during a game. Only something you would see when they're up in the stands serving a touchline ban. 25 minutes to go. Spurs 1, Brighton 1. Here at the TH. Pedro Porro opened the scoring for Spurs that sent the home end and 3 different ends of this pitch and stadium into raptures as Caoimhan gets a free kick here, and it's going to be a yellow card handed out to Kevin Danso. See it here. Welbeck does well with a little flick, and he just kind of body checks Caoimhan to the ground. Yeah. It's incredibly cynical. I mean, he's nowhere near the ball, Kevin Danso. No attempt to play the ball. The ball was nowhere near him. And he just kind of charged into Caoimhan on the edge of the box. Free kick it is then. Yellow card for Kevin Danso and an opportunity for Brighton. Around about right on the edge of the area, about 19 yards out. Wide to the left. Still within the confines of the 18-yard area in terms of the perimeters either side of the goal, but it is to the left-hand side of the goal. Having a conversation on who's going to take this. 3 in contention. Danny Welbeck, Pascal Gross, and I think there's Buscagli there too. It is. Spurs are going to make a change in a moment. Not just yet, though. So, Gross steps away. It's Buscagli and Welbeck over this free kick. What have they got up their sleeve here, Brighton? Have they got a magic trick? Watch on. Can barely watch the Spurs fans. Welbeck's shot blocked into the wall from the free kick. And Buscagli makes sure it goes nowhere dangerous for his team. Straight out for a Spurs throw. Well, that was anticlimactic to say the very least. And Spurs going to make that substitution. João Palhinha is going to replace Rodrigo Bentancur. So Bentancur off, Palhinha on. So midfield reinforcements. An Argentinian for a Portuguese. Straight swap in midfield. A quarter of the match to go. 1-1. And finally poised here in North London. Will either side come away with the 3 points? Or will they have to share them? Solanke. Porro down the line. Finds Matisse Tell. Evades a couple of challenges. Swings one in, but no one in the middle. Tell's cross comes back out to a doggy on the left. Now finds Simons. Palhinha. Leaves it, lets it run. Simons cuts back onto his right foot, blocked. Now to Palhinha and a deflection. Whoa, Verbruggen got something to that, I think. And João Palhinha only off the bench. And Bart Verbruggen, the reactions to that deflection. See it here. Simons does well. Blocked, comes back to Palhinha, and the deflection of Danny Welbeck. Fabulously reacted to by the Brighton goalkeeper, who threw his left leg down to block it on the line. Incredible goalkeeping that denies Spurs the second goal. They've got a corner out of it. Porro to take. Poro swung it deep, and ultimately that's going to be a free kick to Brighton. Looks like Brighton are going to make some subs of their own. It's a triple sub. I think it's a double sub just. It's going to see Jorginho Rutter and Matt O'Reilly ready and waiting to enter the fray. For the visitors, one substitute's already found the net for them. It's an enforced one. Kaoru Mitoma coming on for Diego Gomez, and he converted, did Kaoru Mitoma. And used their bench to the same effect, Brighton in the second half. Nicely done there by Minte. Hinchelwood comes all the way back to Van Hecke. Given all the way back to Bart Verbruggen. Hasn't had his best game, but he pulled off a cracker save to deny João Palhinha's deflected effort. Kadiolu. Gross. Dropped a little deeper alongside the defenders for Brighton here. Skagli. Palhinha. Skagli. To Van Hecke. 20 minutes to go here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 1-1. Will there be a winner? Spurs got a late winner the last time they beat Brighton here at home. 2-1, and Brennan Johnson stepped up for that late winner. Will there be another late hero for Spurs to save 3 points in such desperate circumstances? Will Brighton take all the spoils as they've done on the last couple of meetings against Spurs, including a fixture between the two sides here last season, as they comfortably eased the victory in the ends. Gross on the half turn. Van Hecke drifting forward, finds a ball to Hinchelwood, who feeds it in behind towards Welbeck. Oh, the keeper made a meal of it, and Kinski just about got it away at the last second. Made a meal of the save and then had to boot it clear of danger. Certainly butterfingers there from Antonin Kinski. He got very lucky. Welbeck didn't pounce on that. And seemingly the momentum is slightly swinging in the way of Brighton at the moment. Verbruggen up the field. Second ball brought down by Hinchelwood. No one to find further forward as he gives it away as Van de Ven picks up. No back chasing, but Van de Ven finds Simons on the left. Cuts inside his man, inside another. Goes over far too easily, says the referee. Xavi Simons there. As Brighton get the break of the ball. Mitoma feeds it for Welbeck. Mintanai. Got Welbeck at the back post. Minta across. Too close to the goalkeeper in Kinski. This game, as I said, on a knife edge right now. A win for Spurs would see them out of the bottom three. A draw or a defeat would not. A win for Brighton would see them up into 6th. A draw would see them stay 9th, and a defeat would see them go down to 10th. So it's all on the line in the dying embers. That's the way we like it. Tantalising to the final whistle. Remember, Brighton have still to make this double change. They've been waiting to make these changes for the last couple of minutes. That's a lovely ball over the top. Tell looking to find Gallagher. He does get to it. Conor Gallagher evading one challenge, then dribbling through another, and runs into trouble as he was closed off there in the area. Good defending by Brighton. Goal kick. Now that will trigger the Brighton subs. He got past Gross, then past Kadiolu, but run into Buscagli, who confidently defended his area there against Conor Gallagher. So Matt O'Reilly and Jorginho Ruter coming on. And there's a player down in Caoimhan Ferris, first half scorer. Of course, he come on as an injury substitute for Diego Gomez. And I think he might be forced into another change here, Brighton, as Maxime de Kuiper is now getting ready, so maybe that will be another change that Brighton will need to make enforced. And Spurs getting Lucas Bergvall ready at the same time. Right, changes of foot then. Welbeck replaced by Ruter. Jack Hinchelwood is going to be replaced by Matt O'Reilly. And Kaira Mitoma, who came on in the first half, is coming off here. So the sub is subbed and Maxime de Kuiper is on. So he felt something there, Kaira Mitoma, and they don't want to risk him. So they've made that substitution, Brighton. So 3 changes in one go. As Kaira Mitoma, who was a sub, came on and scored and has now been replaced by de Kuiper, as well as Ruter and O'Reilly replacing Welbeck and Hinchelwood. Spurs going to make a change then. Actually going to make a double change, it looks like. The moment. It's going to see Jed Spence and Lucas Bergvall come onto the field. This will be their final 2 changes. Conor Gallagher is going to be replaced by Bergvall. Maybe a little bit of a tactical switch. Some fresh legs as well. And Jed Spence is going to be coming on for Spurs at the same time. And Destiny Udogie is coming off, so a straight swap there between Spence and Udogie, and Bergvall replaces Gallagher. All that dealt with. We can go on with the game. And given away cheaply there by Van Hecke. Simons with a chance here. Edge of the box. Gets the shot off. And what a finish. That is incredible from Xavi Simons. An absolute screamer. Sends the Spurs fans into raptures again for the 2nd time in this game. They have exploded into celebration in North London. Tottenham Hotspur back in front, and to the display of Xavi Simons with an absolute cracker. A win would see them out of the drop zone. A win would see them out of the bottom 3, Spurs, and they lead again. Xavi Simons with an incredible finish, with an absolute banger. 2-1 Spurs, and this stadium hasn't heard noise like this in such a long time. And how desperate they've been to see this type of performance from their team. Again, it's poor from Brighton. They've been off it all day, but it's great from Bergvall. He wins it back off Van Hecke. Finds Simons, who takes his time, and when he readies to shoot, he angles that one as perfectly as he could off the inside of the right post. That is absolutely unreal. One hell of a finish. Rips the shirt off. And look at that. They erupted. Even the bench. Roberto De Zerbi, once again, like he did with the first goal, goes nuts. You can't help but love those scenes. Wow. What a moment that could be. But Brighton made a mistake for the first goal. They found a way back. Well, they find a way back from conceding a second. Spurs haven't scored 2 goals at home in the league since the 2-2 draw with Manchester City on the 1st of February. They drew that 1-2-2. They haven't won a home league game since they beat Brentford in December. The 6th of December was the last time they won a home league game. The last time they won a league game was away at Crystal Palace at the end of last year, the 28th of December. And they're on the verge with 11 minutes to go of their first league win of the calendar year that would see them out of the bottom 3. A quick glance again to show you. They would be up to 16th, Spurs, with victory. Corner it is, though. And now it's about holding on to this lead. What can Roberto De Zerbi's side do to hang on to this advantage? Porro to take. Goes short. Simons. Porro. Drifting into the area. Seen away. That will be a Spurs throw. All they need to do now is take the sting out of it and make sure that the ball stays up at this end of the pitch. In the Brighton half. Not anywhere near their own goal. Right. I don't know if they are going to go long. It's Bergvall to take this throw in. There are bodies in the box. Danzo's usually the long throw taker. Bergvall's going to have a go. Lucas Bergvall. Long throw into the area. Flicked on the near post. Cleared away there on the second bounce. Porro does well. Finds Bergvall, who rolls it back wide to Porro. Bergvall. We run into trouble there. That's going to be a throw in to Brighton. When you feel the energy just absolutely emanating around this stadium, it has been magical at moments for Spurs this afternoon. The referee stopped the game. Pedro Porro's gone down holding his head. He's up and okay quite quickly. Seems alright, Pedro Porro. Yeah, I mean, you have to be critical of Brighton here, but at the same time, all quality goes to Xavi Simons. He has a lot of work to do. They win it back, Spurs, but he still has so much work to do, Xavi Simons. And the finish is absolutely unreal. It's incredible. It's a banger of a finish. It's something special. Spurs needed special today. Well, they have had their special moment. Xavi Simons their man at the moment. Brighton have just made their final change of the game, and Kostoulis is on. Charalampos Kostoulis has replaced Yasina Yari. And they've got nothing to lose now, Brighton. They need to win this game. They need to get something at least from it. A very minimal tell into the hands of Verbruggen. Skagli. Van Hecke. Flicks it out wide. Minta on down the touchline. Swings one towards the area. Punched away by Kinski, who was caught by his man. And the referee is going to give a free kick. Kostoulis too physical with the Spurs goalkeeper. And the referee giving a free kick. Kostoulis claims his innocence. He has the right to go for the ball there, Kostoulis, but Got it wrong. Just collided with the Spurs goalkeeper. It is a foul. Nothing more. I don't know whether they were readying James Maddison there or not. Maybe, but they've used all 5 sub Spurs. Both sides have used all their subs, so no more movement from the benches can come. Xavi Simons with what would be the crucial winning goal for Spurs. And a first win in nearly 4 months in the league. Eight days ago, Spurs entered the bottom 3 for the first time since 2009. They've remained there for the past 8 days. Even failing to escape through that game against Sunderland last week. But a huge result it would be to win. It would put West Ham in the bottom 3, a point off safety of their own. Forest in danger as well too. Unless Brighton can come up with a bit of danger here. Kostoulis trying to find Ruter, who just eked it away. And Simons clearing his lines. His body's all going to the ground there, but referee says play on. Simons still down in pain. I don't think he can continue. Ball swung into the area. Cleared away. Van Hecke. Still a Spurs player time, but the referee doesn't have to stop play. The referee will play on. Simons back to his feet. Ball swung in with a left boot. And too much on that one. Overhits. Well, Xavi Simons is really struggling. He cannot put any weight on that left leg. And what do Spurs do here? They've all used all 5 subs. Do they go down to 10 and try and hang on? Or does Xavi Simons try and play on? And I don't think he can continue here. He's trying as hard as Xavi Simons to stretch it out to make sure that he can. But if he can't continue, they'll have to go down to 10, Spurs. Roberto De Zerbi trying to give information to his players. Well, James Maddison has just gone down the tunnel. I don't know what for. How big is that goal? Look at this. I mean, I think we've not seen Spurs happy faces in this stadium for a long time. It's been a long time coming. Christian Romero celebrating from the sidelines up in his box, applauding that goal. And a goal that would see Spurs out of the bottom 3. And remember, if Spurs win, Wolves will be relegated at the final whistle. Can't forget that. At the same time, because Spurs would go above, out of the bottom 3, it would be a 16-point gap between Wolves and Forest, who are in 17th, which would be insurmountable for Wolves, with only 15 points left to play for, which would mean they would be relegated as it stands. Remember, the only way that Wolves wouldn't be relegated tonight is if Spurs fail to win. Spurs win would relegate Wolves and would see Spurs out of the bottom 3 as a circumstance also. Well, Xavi Simons has gone off here. I don't know if he can return to the play. If he doesn't, Spurs will be down to 10 to try and hang on to a win here. A much desperately needed win. Is it the day that all their troubles kind of turn away and change direction. Simons is back up onto the field. I don't know how he's playing on. When he went down, it looked like he couldn't even walk. He's back onto the field. Ball swung in deep. Back post, 2 lining up there for Brighton. Neither could get a clean connection. And Simons trying to clear it. Gives it away a little cheaply. Maybe not fully ready for it. Minta's delivery. Cleared away by Gray. It's one-way traffic at the moment. It's all Brighton pushing. And Spurs trying to hang on. Buscagli. Gross. A minute left of the 90. How long will be added on? I suspect quite a bit with a couple of injuries in this second half. Ball swung in. Headed away by Danzo. Simons, despite his injury, is still out there fighting for every ball. And he played a nice pass there to Spence. Looks it back to Palhinha. And he can't walk again. Xavi Simons, he's seized up again, so Spurs are de facto down to 10 once more. I mean, he's hobbling around the pitch here, Xavi Simons. Surely they can't allow him to continue like this. They're going to destroy him if he keeps playing on like this. He can't run. He can't walk. 90 minutes has surpassed. How long is left? 8 minutes is the number. Quite a bit of added time. 8 minutes for Spurs to try and hang on. Down the right side it comes. Brighton trying their hardest to rescue something, but Spurs doing their evermost to get their first league win of the calendar year. How desperate are they for this? Yankuba Minta. There's the take on Porro. Seen away by Porro. Swung in by Wiefer. Back post. Header across. Not cleared away. And the bounce is into the hands of Antonin Kinski. And every moment that ekes by Spurs, they can't bear to watch those fans. An agonising last 7 minutes it will be. But what is 7 minutes when you haven't won a league game in 4 months? Almost 4 months. Here's Solanke trying to keep a hold of the ball up the field. Giving it to Tell. Back to Solanke. Nice play as Tell stayed on side there. He's gone in behind. Tell shot. Well saved by Verbruggen. The flag's up anyway. Against Matisse Tell. I think they knew that. Reminder for you, Chelsea against Manchester United is our 8 o'clock kickoff from Stamford Bridge. Two sides fighting for European football. What will we see out of that one? That's 8 o'clock tonight on LFS. De Kuyper. Buscagli. Ball launched up the field. Van Heck is the furthest man forward. He's got the better Kinski, but he makes the catch. Kinski the second time round. Strong goalkeeping. Kinski thumps it long. Guided down by Cadiol, or De Kuyper, sorry. Gross lays it wide to the right hand side it comes. Down the line to Ruter. Jorginho Ruter trying to work it into the area. Cleared away for Nye. Cadiolu. Ruter. Scagli. Switched out to the left. Yankuba Minta here for Brighton, sorry. Swung in. Back post. Poked. And poked wide by Cadiolu. Huge chance. Massive chance. Minta's delivery. Swung in, flicked on at the near post by Kostoulis. And drops for Cadiolu, who couldn't direct towards goal and hits the side netting. Was that the chance for Fabian Hürzeler's Brighton? 4 minutes down, 4 to go for Spurs. Incredible battling here from Jed Spence. Bruggen gets rid quickly. Pascal Gross. Minte lays it back to De Kuiper, trying to return the favour. Minte's run in behind. Drags it back. Van Hecke gets the better of Danzo. Cuts it back. Ruter! 2-2. Brighton are back. Spurs heartbroken again. And Jorginho Ruter breaks Spurs' hearts once again. A win would see them out of the bottom three. A win would have been delightful. But Brighton fight to the death. And they have scored a second to what would be a rescued point for the Seagulls. One of the informed sides in the Premier League, playing like one of the informed sides in the Premier League, not giving up without a fight. And Jorginho Ruter off the bench to score a wonderful equaliser. But I gotta say, give credit to Jean-Paul Van Hecke, who made the mistake for the Spurs goal that Xavi Simons scored. He fights to win this. He beats past Danzo. He cuts it back. And Jorginho Ruter rifles it into the net in front of him. And now they want to try and win it to Brighton. Could they really break it all apart for Spurs? Could it all come crumbling down in the last 2.5 minutes? Wiefer swung in deep with a cross. And Tail heads behind for a Brighton corner. Will his former side come back to haunt him for Roberto De Zerbi? For the second time in this game, Spurs have been pegged back. Spurs have been silenced by Brighton. But can they do the ultimate job? Swung in, punched away by Kinski. Simons, who's on one leg really at the minute, he's gone down and he's won a free kick. Caught there by Maxime De Kuiper. It's going to be a Spurs free kick and they've 90 seconds. Well, Brighton celebrated it. I don't know if the Wolves fans would be celebrating a Brighton equaliser. It would be enough to see them still in the Premier League, at least until tomorrow at the very earliest. We talked about keeping their heads and focus. Well, they let their guard down there, Spurs, and they paid the price for it. And with a minute to go, Van Hecke sends that one into the skies. Is there one last chance to win it all over again for Spurs? They beg. They live in hope. Live with dream. Danzo with a long throw here that could really spiral it into nuts. Wasn't too happy with his run. He's actually gone short, Dan. So Simons, Porro, wide to Archie Gray. 3 Brighton players around him. And Archie Gray going down a blind alley, it seemed like, and he's being closed out well there. Really well defended by Brighton. And they've given it away a little cheaply. On the turn is Bergvall. They're all queuing up. Simons finds Archie Gray. Right down the throat of the goalkeeper. Wow. And that might be the final whistle incoming. 8 minutes are up. There is the final whistle. A point apiece. And a winless run that continues for Spurs. They thought they were going to get their first win this calendar year in the league. But no. Brighton came to spoil the party again. A win would have seen them out of the bottom 3, would have seen them jump to 16th. But a draw keeps them in it. Spurs still need to fight, and they've got 5 games to save themselves now in this season. Roberto De Zerbi's side couldn't keep their heads to the final whistle, couldn't hang on to win 2-1. Xavi Simon's goal was worthy of a winner, but at the other end, Jorginho Rutter had the final say, and he is the one with the final goal of the game to rescue a point for the Seagulls. Final score, it's finished Tottenham Hotspur 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 2. And that is how it leaves us so far. Huge game to come at Stamford Bridge in about 30 minutes time. Chelsea taking on Manchester United. 8 o'clock kickoff. We'll be live for that one very, very shortly. But it is another opportunity missed for Spurs. 2 points dropped. They were leading twice, but pegged back twice by Brighton, who are the informed side in the Premier League. We're always going to be a tough task, but Spurs much renewed today, and maybe that will give them belief. But what could have been? They could have had 3 points. They leave with just 1. The run-in only getting started, and we'll be back very shortly with another huge game. See you shortly.
Remember, you don't get it twice. The time of your life.